Good morning. Good morning. Rise and energize. Happy Monday, everybody. Happy Monday. Woo. Got some funky weather coming through Nashville today. Producer Rachel said she had some tornado warnings as well.
Yeah. It wasn't probably nearly as bad as yours, and it was quick. But yeah, my son has like weather fear. I don't know where he got it from. And so like anytime the wind picks up or it's raining or anything, he gets worried. It's so cute. I'm like, "Oh, we're fine. It's okay. He will be fine."
One of the things I was thinking about this morning related to energy gains and energy drains is the preparation piece for something like this, right? My wife was like, "Can you get the bag ready?" And a kid's bag ready just in case we need to scurry or leave and one of those, for me, I'm a little bit more lenient with that stuff, so I'm like, like we'll figure it out. But for her, that's important, right? So it comes back down to, you know, my wife, Caitlin, is an energy gain for me. But if she's drained, or if we're not cohesive doing the same things or working together, then it becomes a drain for me, right? Because she's frustrated or she's upset or, she's anxious because of the situation. And so we got the bag ready last night and we got everything squared up, and it allowed us to just, feel a little bit better about it.
Well, preparation is an energy gain for me, right? It's just one of those things where it's like, I know I'm prepared. So if I'm going on a shoot or we're batch creating or we're shooting an ad, whatever it is, the day before, I'll just make sure everything is prepared. I don't like doing those last minute, like packing all the gear bags, because it's one of those things where it's like, ultimately you'll always forget like the one thing that's still plugged in and important. So preparation is a huge, huge energy gain for me. Especially like I worked in TV, I've worked in radio, all morning shows. And so like I would be up at 3 a.m. preparing for the show. And I feel like even last night, my husband wakes up at 5:30 in the morning and takes our son, who's 13 he's 14. Oh my God, to the gym to go work out. And my husband was like, make sure all your stuff is ready to go. It just makes life easier. And then regarding the partner, like energy drains and gains, we cleaned this weekend and my husband was very present in the cleaning, and I just found myself able to do more. Does that make sense? When like you're doing it together and you're doing it together as a family, it was such an energy gain because it's like, no, yeah, like we can do this together. We all made the mess together. And it just felt really good when your space, like, because we talked about this last week. One of the things always that any guide or any like life coach has ever said is like, clean out your space. And it's like, yeah, because you want that like clean energy. It's almost like you're cleaning out your space to make room for like the positive things that are coming your way.
Totally.
So I just feel really good today because we like accomplished so much this weekend.
One of the things I learned maybe 4 years ago now at this point, I was at a conference and, you're learning a ton of stuff, right? They're like, do this concept, utilize Google Business, geotag this, add this, run these scripts, shoot this content. And it's like, whoa, right? And one of the speakers had said, for everything that you add today to your business, you need to remove the same amount of things. So like you can't just keep adding and doing stuff. You've got to find stuff that isn't working to remove. You've got to find stuff that maybe you didn't put a ton of effort behind it, so it's not at the place it needs to be, and it's just soaking up a little bit of energy or a little bit of time. And that day, it felt like spring cleaning for me, right? So like I went to the lunch break. Everybody went over to a restaurant. I was kind of the nerdy dork dude that was like, let me go find the quietest area. I need to go analyze and reflect on my entire business and what I'm doing each day. And for me, it was so much energy to remove something in order to add it to my business, because when it was there and it wasn't operating, there still was energy tied to it, right? I was thinking about it, or it would pop up, or when I had free time, it was like, oh, I got to do that thing. And just by removing that dead weight or cleaning out that closet, it opened up opportunity, it opened up energy, and it opened up time for me to continue to add stuff that I was excited about, that I wanted to enable, that I wanted to act on, and leverage some of those new opportunities. But I remember adding this is a lot, but I remember adding 6 things and removing 8. So what it actually did for me was there was so much junk in the junk drawer or the closet, right? That I actually removed more, because it was the first time that I paused, reflected, and really thought about, like, what am I trying to do? What's not working well, or what am I trying to push through? What am I wasting all this energy and time on? Um, and there was actually more to take out of my business that wasn't benefiting me. Um, so when you think about things of like, oh, I just took this webinar, or I just went to this event, or I just, joined the Impact Effect community, and we're working on branding, or we're working on sales tactics or funnel strategies, and you're adding this, I would advise you to think about what can you remove from the business so you don't feel crammed, you don't feel overwhelmed. Because I don't know about you, Rachel, but that feeling of overwhelm drains me. Like it feels like I step in, like, quicksand, and I can't get out from an energy standpoint.
Well, that is why I'm so happy I hired a VA finally, because an energy gain, honestly, is outsourcing the work you don't want to do or you don't have time to do, right? So, like, my time is valuable. Why am I spending it doing XYZ when I can just outsource that to somebody and focus on the business, right? And so I fought it for so long. I fought it for too long, because I kept trying to figure out, like, oh, how do I justify the cost? And it's almost like you can't not do this, right? Because if it's going to actually equal sales in my business, then they've paid for themselves ultimately in the long run, right? Because I was able to focus on the business and not all these other things supporting the business. And so today, I hope people do what Jim suggested, right? Sort of look at your business, look at whatever it is, whether it's your side hustle, your solopreneur, your CEO, and sort of start to look at what can you eliminate so that you can make space for systems or products that will actually move the needle forward, right? I did an interview with somebody, Kate Butler with Kate Butler Books, and I was talking about, like, balancing it all. Like, how do we do all the things? Like, we're cleaning dishes one minute, and then the next minute we're on, like, $100,000 sale call. How are we doing this? And she said, honestly, like, cleaning dishes doesn't move the needle for me. So she's like, even when I wasn't making a lot of money in my business, I outsourced all of that, right? Like cleaning dishes, laundry, like all that stuff. And I was like, really? She's like, yeah, at first I was petrified, because it's like, how am I going to afford to pay this person? But she was like, but I don't have the time to do things that are repetitive, that are just going to have to get done again, and they don't move the needle in my business. And I was like mind blown, right? Because I think about, like, the big picture of, like, ultimately how much am I going to be paying this person in the long run, instead of like, hey, let's just get them paid now so I can focus on this and making this sale. So I want you guys to all look at your lives, look at what's going on in the businesses, and really start to think about, okay, what can I flip? What can I get rid of? And then what can I outsource? You outsourced way sooner than I ever did. Was that a huge energy gain for you once they were trained?
So I think that's what you just said is extremely important, right? And anytime I'm working with a client one-on-one, and we're growing and we're scaling, and the sales tactics are hitting, the marketing's working, you have to have the conversation around, it's gonna take more energy and more money. So your energy is gonna go like this, and your revenue potentially, or your profit, or your time, however you quantify. But then you have the hockey stick, and it goes up like this. And this period is where people, oh, I don't like this, I'm backing out, this isn't working, I should fire my VA. And people say, this is stupid, this program doesn't work. before they even get to this. So yes, it's one of the smartest things to outsource. Yes, it's the cheapest way to find solutions to certain problems. If you're paying $6 or $7 an hour, set your expectations around that pay scale, but hire with high expectations. You can hire someone overseas, virtual assistant, and you may have to replace them in 60 days. So that, is an energy drain. But once you get that person to the level they can operate solo, you've got your standard operating procedures, you've onboarded them, you've set up your systems, they're doing an end of day report, they're focusing on one special project a week and providing updates daily, right? There's all those things that need to happen when you hire a virtual assistant. But once you get to that point and then they start producing, now it's the hockey stick, because you've got someone that knows your brand, they know the task that they're supposed to complete, and it's overseas labor. It's at 1/4 of the cost of what it would cost here. You don't have to pay benefits. You don't have to, set up other systems if you're a solopreneur or you outsource a lot of your labor. And it's just communication, and communication takes time, and training takes time. So I think it's one of the best solutions in present day 2025 for any business. I also told this to talking about a virtual assistant. I told this to someone that came across my desk a couple weeks ago. They were in a sales role, and about 30% of their role on the sales side also had operations in it. So they would go and open new accounts. They would travel. They would do, get on the ground of what they sold, but they would kick it off for the first week. And I said, okay, you've got to be there. You sold it. You've got to see the client, but like the setup, the admin, the setting up the credit card processor, all the things to set up the account, you need a virtual assistant. He's like, well, the company won't do that. I said, then how much money can you make more in sales? And he was like, well, and I was like, it costs $12,500 for a virtual assistant at like $450 an hour. If they're low admin, like tasks, spreadsheets, set this up. I said, how much are you making off closing one location? He's like, 27,000. I said, so how many hours a week are we offboarding, especially on those weeks that you're prepping to open locations? He's like, well, those weeks it's like 40, 50 hours. I said, so can you sell one deal and double your money? And he's like, yeah. I was like, then fuck the company paying for your virtual assistant. I can put that on your credit card every month. And the first deal, just put it in a separate account, all your commission, the 12.5, and then just bleed it out of that account and pay it. So you don't need to, this concept doesn't need to hit you if you're a solopreneur. It doesn't need to hit you if you're a CEO. Like, if you are a sales commission-based operator who has to open accounts or launch things, like, leverage this tool, because you're going to put more money in your pocket. But up until that point where you close that first deal for that person, that's costing money. And this isn't working, or this VA didn't work, this virtual assistant isn't the right person. Well, that could take 2 months. But once that hockey stick swings back up, now you're seeing the profit. Now you're seeing more energy. You're seeing more time. And you've got someone on the team that you can also bounce ideas off of. Like, the other thing is just general research and I'll go on a 4-hour talk about virtual assistants, but general research, right? Like, there's so much content out there. There's so much information. A virtual assistant can decipher that, watch YouTube videos, and bring the top 3 to you. Like, my virtual assistant, we're meeting today. They have 3 videos on this whole like changes with Google business page that happened at the new year. And I've Googled 40 videos, but they've watched them all, and they sent 3 to me to watch. That reduces my time spent on that and my energy spent on learning and acquiring that knowledge, right? I've got to know it. We sell that package. We're operating 2 Google business pages. in my wife's company. So it's like one of those things where it's like, I gotta get on top of the trend. I gotta get on top of it. But we can leverage and use help for that.
The other good thing about that is that when you know you have to give somebody something to do, you have a tendency to like light the fire under your ass and start getting the thing done. Does that make sense?
Oh,
And
yeah.
the other thing that I want to talk to you or have you talk about, just touch on while we have a couple of minutes left, is what advice do you have for people that are in this part where they're like, I got to give up. There's no way I'm going to be able to keep doing this. Something has to give, right? Right before they're hitting that curve where their energy is low, they feel like there's not going to be a return on the investment. The fear is starting to hit. What advice do you have for people to hang in there today? Like maybe you're at that point where you're like, are we ever going to have the down? Like, are we ever going to get there? You know what it feels like to be here. I know what it feels like to be here. What quick advice to wrap it up do you have for people that have that fear, that are in that space, that are ready to give up? What can you say to them?
I'd always advise you in that situation or scenario to really think back and trust your gut, right? Like you made the decision. You made the decision based on information you had at the time that made it, that you saw the benefit in it, and now you're giving up, right? So it's like, well, you haven't got the benefit yet. And we always know it's darkest before dawn, right? It's just facts. So I would say trust your gut. You made the decision. You hired that person. Now if they're not operating at the level, again, trust your gut, right? Like make the change. Do the hard thing now rather than kick the can down the road. Because once you get used to that person operating a certain way, or you allow them to operate a certain way, it's really hard to make that change, and to remove that person. So I just think you trust your gut, and if it's something where you're like, this person ain't it, make the move. Anytime that I did not listen to my gut, I ended up firing that person 3 to 6 months later. And I'm not saying be a hard ass and just fire everybody and can people, but like I know my gut. I know what to trust. I know the scenes, the sites, the scenarios. So if you feel like you're down here and you're the wrong person's on the team, make a change now. If you're down here and it's just tough and you're training and you're like, this person's doesn't make sense, and I would just think through like, what else can you do? How can you go above and beyond for that person before you make the change? And be honest with yourself. Is it you that needs to change to give them a better opportunity? Are you doing everything you could? Did you train them the way you'd want to be trained? I think that's one of the biggest issues when you're hiring someone, is like you've got to pour it all out there and meet them where they're at. I worked with someone and grew a very successful real estate team and company. And I remember the gentleman that I was working with would always be like, that person's just an idiot. They're not going to get it. They don't understand it. And I'm like, that's on you, not them, because we've tried one method of communication, right? And your method of communication is getting on a Zoom and telling them what to do and expecting that they do it, right? Like my communication style is, let's do a Zoom. Let's ask them questions afterwards. Let's give them an opportunity for Q&A. Let's have them repeat it back to us so we know that they can regurgitate that information. And I said, and then let's go implement it together the next day. Let's go do a co-creation hour. What we do in Impact Effect community, right? Co-creation hours, Q&A sessions, office hours, momentum hours, right? If we're moving, we got good momentum, but we're stuck. Well, you come to Impact Effect momentum hours, then we're right back on the road, headed towards where we need to go, right? We collaborate, we help, we communicate with each other. So I think in those situations and scenarios, we tend to give up, rather than look inward and put a little bit more effort or energy into things. And then I would also say is, when you're feeling the energy drain and you're like, man, I'm training and this is taking forever and this is going on and that's happening and I thought they'd be ready in 3 weeks, but we're in week 5 and they're still messing stuff up. Think through the opportunities that have come into your world. You know, some you've hit out of the park. Some are a perfect fastball, right across the plate. It's a perfect day. The sun's not in your eyes, right? And you hit that thing out of the park. And some days, you know, you catch the sun in your eye and you swing and you miss. Some days, you know, it's a little bit on the outside corner, that fastball, but you like it inside to hit it out of the park. You've got to be adaptable, because there's people, there's humans. You know, where we've got AI coming, we've got agents coming, AI agents, but right now we have humans. So let's treat them the way that they should be treated. And I always look inward and then trust my gut.
And especially if you're taking aligned action and you're trusting your gut, it may hurt in the moment. It may suck in that moment where you're like, I have to deal with this, but that's CEO mindset, right? Like, yeah, you have to deal with this. Be the CEO of your business and don't let fear control the situation, right? Fear just makes it icky and confusing. And like, okay, I'm scared to have this conversation and I'm still going to have it, right? I'm scared to like get rid of these systems in my business that aren't working, but I'm still going to do it, right? We can do hard things. We can do things scared. So yay, everybody. Your challenge for today is to sort of look at what's not working and what can you outsource, right? Like we want to help support you in the best way that we can, but you also have to really look at your systems and what is not working, because it's like, let's spring clean, clear out that negative energy and make space for the amazing things that are to come.
Spring cleaning in your business. Let's go.
Let's go.
Time.
It is time. All right, everybody, have an amazing day.
Yeah, we'll see you guys and gals tomorrow, 7 a.m. Eastern, 6 a.m. Central, 4 a.m. Pacific. The daily Rise and Energize, Monday through Friday, coming at you from the Impact Effect community. If you have any questions, you need any more information, check out impacteffectcommunity.com for more information. Feel free to DM, message, reach out to Rachel or myself, and we'll see you inside the community. Have a great rest of your day.